Okay, cool. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. All things Musfabulous. Welcome to season 2 of Blossom Where You Are Planted. Listen, it's been such an amazing journey just to see and to hear people's stories, and today I've got one of my favorite people here, Sesethu Gqomo. But we'll get into
Seyobokwe.
yes, say box.
Sesethu Gqomo Seyobokwe.
There we go. There we go. So we'll get into Sese in a minute, but I just want to thank everybody that have subscribed to this channel, guys. You are the bestest, okay, if there's such a word. But yeah, continue to share, continue to like videos and comment. Want to hear your feedback in terms of how we're doing. What is it that we can do better? Who would you like to see? I'm also challenging myself in terms of going, something Oprah or some sort.
You
never know. So yeah, let's get into Sese to Seyobokwe. Ndifuna usiqesha la Gqomo, but yeah, silapha ku-Escom. Sese, welcome to Musfab, honey.
Thank you so much, Mom Rev. I'm so happy to be here. I always refer to you as Mom Rev because I just feel like that is just ready and waiting to happen,
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to be spending this time with you. So thanks for considering me.
Awesome. So Sese is here to share her blossom where she planted journey with us. So Sese has a long list of things that she does. She is the founder of SG Comms, okay? Situated in Port Elizabeth. She does PR, she does big events, she does like media. She's just this package, man, that you don't want to miss. As soon as you hit business, contact her. So yeah, tell us more, Sese. If I've missed anything, she's married, recently married. Yes, hence Seyobokwe. Yeah, so tell us more. Tell us more, Ses.
So where do I begin? Let me start from the beginning. So I'm from, as you mentioned, the noun called Gqeberha, and I've been living here for most of my life, born and bred. I'm a product of two parents who are civil servants. We went to an all-girls school here in the Bay, and I then went to do my undergraduate. I started at Rhodes University, and then I just got caught up in the good times. And yeah, so it affected me academically, and my parents said, come back. And then I completed my BA Media and Comms at Nelson Mandela University, and then did my honors in corporate communication at the Nelson Mandela University. So it's been such a journey.
Sure.
Starting out at a events agency here in the Bay, where we started with the South African South African Automotive Week. And we did some great international trade shows. And I thought, wow, this is definitely where I want to be. This is where I see myself thriving and doing great. Yeah. I then went on to do the FIFA World Cup in 2010. And, as these little gigs are coming through, I'm just like, being opened to so many possibilities of eventing. That eventing doesn't have to be limited to anything. It doesn't have to be a Women's Day or a function or whatever the case may be. That there's so many things in convening something for a greater cause. So I think that was what I picked up more than anything. I then did quite a bit of work in a lot of different event agencies, and then went to NMMU, where I started as the marketing officer there. Once again, open days, expos and engineering we were in there doing that.
Love.
And then I moved to the academic side where I was then lecturing in media,
Wow.
communications and PR, and I supervised, I think, a few honor students as well. So from there, I think it was in 2015, and I was studying with a friend of mine, Luvuyo, and he said, "Listen, why don't you start a business?" And I'm like, I don't know, I feel like business is just, an easy way out. So if you don't want to, at the time, I didn't know. And I thought, I do things on the side. I MC here. I help people put things together there, but, not at a cost because it's something I genuinely enjoy doing.
You're passionate about it.
So he said, no, do this and make money out of it, So I registered my company in 2015 and I didn't, make anything of it. And it was just there.
Wow.
And 2 years down the line, after being a lecturer at the university, I just, decided, I think now it's time to take the plunge. And my now husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, was like, no, you can never, rely on one stream of income. And there's just so much more that is out there, and you can use your abilities and monetize them and not just do it because you're not confident of your craft. So I think most of the time I did it for free because I didn't think it was worth being exchanged for money.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were doing what I did and even less at a cost. So so in 2017 I took the plunge and I went into business and I opened up Sesethu Gqomo Communications. So in the beginning it was just like Steve Harvey describes it as, starting a business is like falling down a cliff, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a parachute and you're gonna fall down the cliff. Like you just get scratched and scathed and it is, and it's emotional, it's lonely, there's so much that comes into play in the process, understanding
process.
it. Definitely. And then once you pull that parachute, it might not come immediately to save you, but when it does, it just, wow, it is just life changing.
I just got goosebumps because I have a picture as you're talking. I'm like,
yeah,
because you're screaming down. You're like, I can't believe I'm doing this, and you're doing it.
You meet people and they knock you, and you try to partner with others and it doesn't work out. You lose money in the process. You don't have money, and it's just like a myriad of things. So it's like it's literally like falling down a cliff on a psychological scale, on a financial scale, on an emotional scale, because you want to do everything right and perfect, and it's not going to work that way. But when you pull that parachute, wow, it just makes it all worth it.
Sure. That picture for me is a perfect picture in terms of explaining what business is all about, because here we are, we've got these talents and we don't know how to venture into that. And once you get to esa spaces or huzuka, you immediately want to give up, I'm getting resilience from you. And where did you get that? So where did you get that resilient spirit? Because it's not just you, it's your sister as well. So is it like
that we are just fighters?
you
I think the resilient spirit, a lot of it I think comes from our foundation at home. Our mom has instilled such a warrior spirit in us, and being in Quebec or even in South Africa, you face racism on a scale that is second to none. And you just develop a really thick skin in terms of, different types of racism, because there's the outward, there is the
emotional,
there's the manicured one. There's the one at school that says your hair can't be spiky or you can't speak in that language. And, and sometimes you find that when you're in such spaces, it's easy to, succumb because you want to adhere to the regulations. But then you come to a space where you're like, no, man, these regulations are not correct.
Yeah.
And that you need to represent who you are, and who you are shouldn't be offensive to anyone else, you know, and to stand up and build that narrative, because you know there's a quote that goes, in the story of the hunter and the hunted, the hunter will always be the victor. So whoever is the one who is writing the story will always be the victor. And sometimes we are not going to have beautiful stories written about us because the hunter is concerned about, you know, narrating their story. So what does that mean? That means we need to write our own stories by ourselves, as winners, as the victors, as the hunters, because you find yourself in a space where you are grossly misrepresented, and there are just so many negative connotations or negative what's this word that I'm looking for?
Like negative, so many things
yes,
that the negativity around your space. Yeah, sure.
So it's part of the fight was just being very, very intentional about creating positive narratives, not only about me, but about other Black women, about women, and about professionals in these spaces. That, you know, you can be a Black professional with natural hair, you can be a Black professional who doesn't necessarily wear, you know, a blue shirt and tie and whatever. Create whatever narrative you want to create and be strong and be, you know, bold in that. And once you see other people responding positively to that, then you know that you have achieved what you were looking to do, because then that means they have seen someone who looks like them, who's doing great, and it gives them hope that I can also do that.
Sure.
If also said you can do that.
Come on. I love that. I love that. I absolutely love that. Because, you know, sometimes, especially because I mean, you grew up in Port Elizabeth, right? How, like, most people grow up in their hometowns, and immediately after they want to get out. How do you find yourself having to grow up in Port Elizabeth, having to have a company? Well, okay, I keep on forgetting the word, guys.
Eclipse.
Having to have a company and and having to be this big person. Well, you know, a mogul, you know.
I don't know what big person.
No, as in like this big name, you know. How do you create a name? You know, because it reminds me of this thing in the Bible where it says Jesus says, "Mana, a person cannot what is this? What is the word? Hey, yabona ke unifake kwi-high standard ngoku kufuneka ndibe ngumamrev nje nkani."
Elevation. Elevation
is not actually like admired enough,
appreciated in their city. Yes.
In the community that they grow up in. So that journey, like having to make that decision for yourself. And did you want to go anywhere else?
No, absolutely, 100%. So, I mean, after graduation, a lot of my friends found internships in Cape Town and Durban, and, you know, and then you also kind of feel that I'm missing out on so much, you know. But you know what? This is why I loved your title that said "Blossom where you are planted." That sometimes the grass is not always greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. I can tell you, for the past, well, straight after graduation, for about 4 years straight, I never applied to any vocation that I had at the time. I was referred or I was hunted. And it literally, for me, was a testament that, you know, I would apply in Joburg, I would apply to, I'm like, hey, well, there's 27, you know, graduate intern positions. And I'm like, oh, 27 people. Are you trying to tell me that, like, I'm really, really, really not that good? And there would be, you know, programs in Cape Town, in Durban, in Mpumalanga. I would apply literally everywhere. I would get through to maybe the first round, maybe the second round, but after that, I wouldn't hear anything. And I thought, hey, what is wrong with me? What is going on? Am I not qualified enough? But my peers and the people who are, in my level are doing it. So what is it about me that is just not appetizing to these people in other cities? You know what I mean? And here in PE, I literally would hardly, interview. Even my marketing position, I was at FCON, and the contract, I remember, was expiring in June, and I thought, God, what am I going to do on the 1st of July? We've had this amazing experience at the stadium, waking up and working there. And true as Bob, like, I think it was the last week, they were looking for a marketing officer. I did an interview. Like 3 days later, I got a contract. 1 July, I was new office, new space. And like, kidding? God has just been faithful like that for the longest time. I remember even the one time getting the lecturing position, there was the position was going to be opened up the following year. But the lady who was lecturing there decided to retire, I think 6 months prior, because her family was relocating and they were going abroad. And my previous HOD called me and said, where are you? Are you in PE? I said, yes. Listen, we need someone to fill this spot for second semester.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, are you being serious? And he's like, send your credentials. And she was like, send your credentials, send your ID, and send your academic script. I literally forwarded. Monday we just had like a conversation, and then second semester I was the communications lecturer.
Imagine talking about the detail of God. Sure, that's so amazing.
So as much as like I was facing so much rejection, if you want to put it that way, and in my hometown, I was just moving. So I thought, you know what? Because I do embrace this moment. There are people who are in PE who do not get these opportunities.
Yeah.
So take this moment and embrace it. And whatever you opportunity you get, just take it with both hands and run with it. Your time to be in Joburg, your time to be in Cape Town will eventually come. So don't fight the feeling. Just do great where you are and do your best where you are, because you're building a portfolio of evidence so that when you go out into the world, they can see that you've actually done so much in your waiting. So don't sit around while waiting, but actually be active, wait actively and do great.
I love it. So motivational, so inspiring, because I mean, most people are sitting back home and they're like, what am I gonna do here? What am I gonna make myself out here? And some people are in these big cities, they're not making such a great living, and back home because they're like, from Cape Town, I'm coming. So most people are faced with that, especially when you are living in our kind of environment where everything is expensive. And you're like, I could just make it back home. Like,
you could be a millionaire in Nkanduli.
You know
what
you
don't want to stay in Nkanduli.
Exactly. You don't want to make a name in Nkanduli. Who's going to support me in Nkanduli? Like that.
You don't know. You
never know. Sure, that's so encouraging. But what motivates you? Because I hear you when you say, Sese, to stay here, because I mean, this is what you're going to be, blossoming, really. That's like, we as the encourager, but really, who motivates you and what motivates you?
So, money motivates me.
green.
It's all a billion. So my sister and I always have this thing, like, Jonga, if it doesn't speak to, our life there, then we want nothing to do with it. I am the same, because there's nothing noble in being like modest and
Sure.
and then being broke and unhappy. You know what I mean? So pulling in various streams of income for me was not just for myself, but to be a resource, because one of the things that I found when I was lecturing, we would go and evaluate our students, activations and programs. And you'd find that, the white counterpart groups would have a huge store, like a market day. There'd be a national radio station. There'd be, everything fully decked out. And you would then go to a predominantly Black group where like the airtime to call, like printing quota was an issue, like the fundamentals, and then obviously would do a feedback session to say how did it go, what went well, what went wrong. And you find that it's not that they didn't do what they were supposed to do, or they didn't submit the proposals for sponsorship. It's that there were no platforms, there were no resources. They didn't have access to them, because clearly they were available, but maybe not available to them. So sometimes you find that sometimes, we can't always be searching for these resources, but actually become the resource yourself and be the conduit that is going to enable other young Black girls to say, look, I got a chance. I was given a chance, and I took that chance and I soared, So even when I encourage my interns, I don't want them to be based in PE. I don't want you to stay in PE. But if it works for you here, make the most of it. And when the opportunity comes to, fly your wings, then by all means go for it. And, one of the things that I also believe in is that as much as we are living in an international kind of space, we must do things at an international scale. So that when someone in Denmark is looking at Gqeberha, they don't think of Gqeberha as that it's just an international spot. It's an international spot for them to go to, just as much as Gqeberha is an international. I mean, Denmark is an international spot for us to go to. So if you don't create that kind of environment, or become that conduit, or be that resource, or be that platform at times, we might find, a lot of missed opportunities. So sometimes we find that we can't find izinto for now, then that means we should become them. So that's what motivates me. Motivating other people to say, look, if you can't find what you're looking for, be that thing, or create that thing, or develop it, so that clearly there's a market that's untapped or untouched that needs those services, or that needs the product that you would be offering.
Sure. And I mean, you always need that one person. I think like most of these videos that I'm doing, there will always be that one person that believes in you, that will tell you, that will bring that aha moment to you. So it's up to us to take it or to leave it. Or whatever that person, you know what I mean? But for people that want to make it in business, and finding it so difficult, to just a motivation or an encouragement to them, because sometimes people can't motivate their own selves. They look at Instagram, they look at also say to flourishing.
Scam. Instagram is a scam. Just by the way. And it's a great marketing tool, but it's a scam.
So no man, I don't think I'll be able to go into this level. And I'm let me just work with someone and that's it. What would you say to that person?
I always say to anyone who asks that don't play too far away from your strengths, first and foremost. You'll find that the strengths that you have are what you need to get going. I know some people would, say, oh, I know I see the wig industry is taking shape, or the natural hair movement is taking shape, but you've never taken any inkling whatsoever in hair products.
Yeah.
Or you like these pop-up shops, you want to be, have a truck at a market or whatever, and you don't even enjoy cooking, So like, can we just play to our strengths first and foremost? Play to your strengths. Do what you're good at and monetize it. Secondly, I would say work with what you have where you are. Gqomo started in my kitchen counter. It started in my laptop. It started, with making a few phone calls. There was nothing spectacular. There was nothing crazy about it.
Yeah.
And to get to the place of having professional photo shoots and, that's later on.
Yeah.
Do what you can with what you have where you are. If you have a friend who's a photographer, barter your skills and say to them, look, I don't have money, but I can do this. Can you take a few high-res images, head and shoulder for me? And in exchange for this, that is a form of starting your journey. A lot of people always say, oh, but funding, people, they don't want to fund, they don't want to help. A funder helps someone who is on the go. Because I always say this, you can't imagine I want to start a chicken run and I want a funding agency to give me 1.5 million rand for infrastructure. They're like, how many chickens do you have now, Jay? Okay, for instance. I'm like, no, I've got 6 eggs in my fridge. I'm like, but then that means anyone can run a chicken run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That means they would be popping out 1.5 million rand to everyone who walked by and said, I want to start a chicken run. Put some teeth in it. Put your own strength, put your own might, whatever capital you can put together, start it first so that I can also be encouraged and say, you know what? I like what she's doing. She's onto something. Yes, she's not there where she wants to be, but she's definitely onto something. So start with what you have, start where you are, and you will see the rewards. One word will pick up from another word and another word and another word. So, I mean, having a nice office with branding and all of that, those are just the cherry on top. It's not the groundwork. It's not the ugly side. It's not the up until 2 and then up again at 6 o'clock. That's the stuff that no one sees. That's the part of the business that actually makes the money. So the pretty pictures and the Instagram posts, yes, it's so lovely to be on a poster, but it does nothing for you financially.
Sure.
So, try to not chase the clout. The clout must come from your work, the rubber hitting the road. Then, when the rubber hits the road and you're driving on a gravel road and then the smoke comes like that.
Yes, but
it comes because that dust does not just come because the car is stationary. So just keep it moving, no matter what pace you're moving, and just keep it moving so that you can get some foot in the ground, learn, make some mistakes, lose a bit in order to gain again. There's no foolproof way of starting a business. There's no scientific step A, B, C, D, and E of starting it. You started with what you have, where you are, and then once you see there's momentum, you get a bookkeeper. You don't have to go to a high-end, high-level, whatever. There are people who are going to assist you and say, look, this is how much you use for the business. This is how much you take for yourself. In the beginning, the first 2.5 years, I couldn't pay myself because there was no money. It just didn't make sense. So my bookkeeper would say, this is what is SG Corps doing at Aldo? And I'm like, I'm Lindy. When I look good, I feel good. And when I feel good, I do good. And she's like, that's gotta stop. That's gotta stop. So it's trial and error. You learn, you fall, but you fall forward. You just keep falling forward.
I love
and that. So that's the advice I could give to someone who wants to start a business. Play to your strengths and do what you have. Work with what you've got.
Yeah, I know sneaky Sese, because hey, I used to go on, but until when we get here and all this glamour happens.
No, no.
There's
The
work.
glamour it doesn't even pay. Like it's
And I mean,
it's like an extra mural.
yeah, also it's passion and believing in
Yeah.
yourself. Because as you was
Mm,
explaining, I'm just thinking when like passion also needs to drive you. Do you believe how
yeah.
much do you believe in this thing that you're doing?
Mm,
Because
mm,
sometimes you're
mm,
waiting for as a pavi. Yeah, but come
mm,
on, Musa, you
mm,
can
mm,
do it for me.
mm,
Sometimes it will
mm,
be quiet. And you need to
mm,
motivate yourself. You need to still say, man, no man,
mm,
Donga, let's just
mm,
take my phone, buy like a
mm,
nice, light ring lighting,
mm,
and let's start a
mm.
channel. You know what I mean?
Let's do this,
Let's do this. Because I mean, that's a
and
gift
be
as well. Identifying
mm,
your
mm,
gifts, identifying your strength. I love that you
mm,
brought up strengths, because
mm, mm,
sometimes we want other people to identify as strengths.
mm.
But if you don't know yourself,
Absolutely.
you're gonna grab everywhere. Uzozibona so jack of all
Oh,
trades
in
and
the
master of
middle,
none. You know
you
what I
know,
mean? Yes.
yeah.
Sure. It's
And I think that's yeah. It going back to believing in yourself. I mean, have a small group of people who are in your corner. You
yeah.
need those people who are in your corner, but don't expect business from them. Okay.
Love
So what
it.
does that mean?
Say that again.
Have a small group of people in your corner. Don't expect business from them.
Mm.
My mom and my aunts are my greatest supporters. They hold me down. They, give me prayer tips or whatever, but they're not interested in having a social media profile.
But I mean,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's not, we need to learn to separate
Mm.
the people that are in your corner and your supporters. Those are two completely different people.
Oh,
So for me, believing in myself and having those people believe in me, my husband is one of my biggest supporters, 110% behind me, everything.
mm.
Sam, Sam, she's just
Mm.
always,
Go,
cheering
go,
us on.
go.
Our
Yeah.
parents are such amazing supporters, but they're not necessarily our clientele.
Yeah.
So understand and distinguish the difference between your biggest supporters, the people who hold you up,
Yeah.
and your clientele. I was making an example at a recent workshop that I did,
Mm.
and you go and you buy phones and like, oh my, can I get some boom? I want to, it's going to take a week, yeah, 2000. And Mike is like, babes, yeah, pay ma. you know, Mike is not your target market. So you can't take
Right?
offense to someone who's not your target market, who's not your target market.
Exactly. Sure.
So what I've actually found is that the further away I look in my circle for supporters, the more money or the more can business.
Mm.
So be a part of an online community of strangers who are like-minded or who are doing what you are doing. That for me has definitely been one of the best things that I've done for my business. Um, I recently I hosted an annual Women's Day event called so and so wanted to come to Bogodo Rise because, but they didn't want, but I was selling the tickets. So they didn't want to call me because I don't know, they maybe don't like me. I don't
Oh.
know. And, if I was starting out, I would have taken offense and like, oh, and then I was like, no, but then sometimes people don't want to deal with an individual. Maybe they want to, go and just buy it somewhere else. So what did I do?
Mm.
I opened the tickets up to Company Ticket and say,
Ah.
look, guys, tickets are available. Company Ticket. You don't have to call me. You don't have to mail me. You don't have to speak directly to me.
Yeah.
You can enjoy the concert without having me involved. So the further away I took the business from Sese to and what she likes and what she doesn't like and who likes her and who does, all those
Yeah.
personal things, the greater the business became. And I even advise her to some of my friends in business that don't be so hard on selling to people you know. Go to a small bakery, go to a confectionery and say, listen, I want to sample 5 of these things. you will find that you can stock 20 of your meals there and you don't even know those people. And that's great. That's great. That means you're moving. You're moving in the right direction. So I found that, you know what, be pragmatic. Don't take feelings. It's not personal, it's business. And and so that you don't always find yourself kubekering for something that's or taking offense unnecessarily, because we take so much offense to people who so and so didn't share this.
Right?
It's fine. We keep it moving.
Wow. Talk to
So
me.
I think
Preach
one
the
of
choir, girl.
someone said the most your biggest supporters are the ones who don't even know your middle name or something like that. It's the people who don't know you. They are the ones who are always like sharing and liking and and I feel like that is the strength of growth, that it's not about me, it's about what I am doing, and I'm just I'm merely the conduit, the person that this thing happens through, but it's not about me. And the more I reposition myself and align myself to that thought, the better I think it is for everyone.
Wow. Sure. You've just
Yeah.
got that the nail on the head, because I mean, so many people are actually in that position. Because I would, yeah, I'm one of them. Because I used to be one of them. Because I'm learning so much with all these things that I do, the cooking, the videos, and all of these kind of things. I'm learning so much about myself. And the more I get to know about Umusa, the more I can be able to be bold and say, hi, man, I'm not going to tell you no SG comes because, I don't have to go and knock to so-and-so who's my closest person and say, listen, I need you to share this. I need you to do this for me. Like that's what I'm saying. You're personally talking to me that it's okay. The far away you reach, the more you will grow, because right, like oh, I
but yo Janga in the closet, war room, room.
But not necessary.
Abazoyithenga i-profile, bayifuna i-branding profile, abanaqesha layo,
And also understanding
don't
your
take
avatar, like understand your target market, understand andikwazi ukuthi ndingu-cooking heels ndiyothengisela abantu abajimayo. My meals are heartwarming meals, you know what I mean?
For the mom on the go,
yes, you know what I
mean? Healthy and nutritious. That's your target market.
Yeah, Bonaland.
Whatever they look like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk forever and ever. I'm enjoying this conversation so much. But I mean, in closing, what is your word that you base yourself, you can't go by a day ungalifundanga. It's also part of the encouragement and motivation that I was talking about earlier, but foundation yakho, and that you start off for me. You know what? If I read that word, it's actually gonna boost me into another venture. I might take bold steps today because Liti, what's your word?
For me,
the Bible.
Yeah, the scripture for me. But firstly, I want to share the scripture that I shared with you earlier, that Ecclesiastes 7 verse 8, the end of a thing is much better than its beginning, and patience is better than pride. I think that scripture is just a testimony of my life, because I was quite the rebel in junior school. I gave my parents, quite a run for their money. So my mom would be like, please, that I'm just in the principal's office,
Sure.
Because not because I was naughty, but I just always had opinions, and I just felt like
I know, my
They need to be
friend.
shared. And they didn't always need to be shared, but yeah, we learned that as we grow.
Yeah.
So but yeah, in my high schooling, and then again, I'm a sister to this girl who is just like sporty and active, and she's just tearing things up. And I was just like in the choir, and they're debating when I feel like it, and arts and craft. Yeah, man, just to
yeah.
until 3 when our mom comes to pick us up, kind of thing. And for me, I was shocked to be called back at my alma mater to come and address the girls about my journey and about
Sure.
what I've achieved in the
Sure.
space of time. I was like, me, the one who was always in the principal's office. Like, I'm not disputing that, but I mean, I didn't think it would be that deep that you call me back to, a house assembly and come and share with the girls about, your journey. And it just reminded me that an end of a thing is always better than its beginning, and patience is better than pride, that it was a testament that, sometimes the way your life carves out in the beginning, it's not an end deal.
Yeah.
So because you weren't a class captain and you weren't a and whatever the case may be, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to end up as a mediocre individual.
Yeah.
And vice versa. So if you were, and that's great, that you showed leadership at a very early age, it shouldn't diminish the light of those who might not necessarily have been star players in their high school careers. And because life happens, we grow, we develop, and you find that at the end of the journey, wow, I remember dropping science, because I was just like, my science teacher said to me, Sesethu, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, Mrs. Babes, I just want to be famous. Then what are you doing in this class, my girl? But guys, now I knew you could pass the easy carved. I was even I understand. Even I understand. So sometimes when people don't, understand your path, it's fine. It's completely fine. You know why your path is the way it is. So I dropped science and I took French. Wow. And so when AFCON came, so I told my mom, I was like, John, mom, kwafikile abantu base-DRC, bafike nabantu base-Lentuzeni, base-France, and there was a communication breakdown. Who came to alleviate la? Je suis. Bonjour, bonjour. Yeah, Eva.
Yeah, wow, so, everything happens.
You might not. It might not necessarily be apt. You might not necessarily be appreciated, or it might not be appreciated the path or understood. Yeah. And if your path is not understood, it's fine. If you understand your path, that's all that really matters, because it will come to full circle in the end. Sure. Yeah. And one of my scriptures that give me strength is the prayer of Jabez. It's one of my absolute favorites, because of the confirmation, that God, that Jabez said, that you may bless me indeed, that you may enlarge my territory, that I may be blessed, and you may give me peace. I mean, that is the ideal. I want property. I want property, Yeah. I want wealth. I want peace. I don't want to millions and then and then, Yeah. And the line that, that emphasizes it for me is that God did grant that, and God granted that. Yeah. So whatever I request, God, He'll grant it. If He did it for Jabez, He will do it for me. Wow.
Wow, sure. What what a conclusion. Wow. Yeah, definitely. I mean, sure. Yeah, may God just also really, really bless you beyond what you can imagine, and thank you for just saying yes to this call. and just spending this amazing hour with me. I'm learning so much, and we see you, flourishing away, and may you just flourish some more. May you blossom some more wherever you are, may you give la fragrance, iphuma flower, and wherever you are, you know what I mean? May you just be that and beyond.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
you are such an amazing person. Thank you so much for coming through to Musfab and sharing your blossom where you're planted. And I know there's so many people that have learned so much, including myself. I think I would find myself going back to this video because I mean, those reminders are needed. Thank God for, all these social platforms where you can just always go back. Yeah. So I mean, for people that would love to do that, subscribe, like, share, because it's not just for you. I mean, if it doesn't hit home for you, it's okay. But it doesn't.
It's gonna hit home for someone else.
Yes, you know what
Absolutely.
I mean. Wow, Mrs. Seyobokwe. Thank you so much for for coming through, man, and just blessing us. May you be blessed beyond, as I said. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Mom Drive. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. You're always just such a beam of light, in this type of world. And it's not. I know it's not easy because you have to be intentional about it and say, you know what, Miss, I need to be Musfabulous and wake up and slay. So yeah. So keep shining, man. We draw so much energy from your light.
Thank you so much, Sese. Thank you so much. Yo, I think we're gonna be thanking each other until the savior comes. Guys, thank you so much for just watching this video. Yeah, as we said, share, like, subscribe, do the necessary. If not, maybe next time. But this, you have to take notes. Like, it's that kind of take your notebook, and jot down what you need, because it's that type of session today that we had. But welcome to the season 2 of All Things Musfabulous, Blossom Where You Are Planted. And from Musfabulous and Sesethu Gqomo Seyobokwe. Cheers.
Bye, guys.